Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hideaway Homestead. I'm Mike and this is Vanessa. And on today's episode, we're gonna be wrapping up our reclaimed lumber chicken coop build. So if you've been following along, this is, I think, part 6 of the series. This has been an ongoing project each weekend for us. And we are using pallet wood and reclaimed wood, so that's like fencing, things like that, stuff that we just have lying around to build an entire chicken coop. And this chicken coop has to hold about 12 to 15 chickens, laying hens specifically. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting out the hole, the door that leads out to the run, and we're going to be putting the ramp in today as well. We have other things that we're going to want to do with the chicken coop too, but we're probably not going to do it today. It'll be more long-term goals. We want to put some linoleum in to actually make it easier to clean out the chicken coop. We're going to be adding a nesting box. We're going to be probably doing some trim. We're going to paint it. We want to paint it red, do white trim. That actually helps the chickens to know where the coop is when they're out, because we're going to be letting them free range a little bit too. And we're going to actually be putting in a caged run in as well. So like if we're not here, it's a place for the chickens to get out and they can be safe. If you're new to the show, please click like if you like the content, if you like this video. We really appreciate that. And also, if you do like all of the types of videos that we're putting out, we'd really appreciate if you hit subscribe. That helps support us here at the Homestead. And
let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started.
So the first thing we want to go ahead and get done today, since we have the spring hinges on the door, we want to have something to be able to hold the door open when we need to get in here and clean it out and do things like that. So I did go to the store and pick up a hook and eye set. So I think what we want to do is go ahead and put our smaller eye hook on the front of the door, and then we're going to put the actual hook here on the side of the coop. And I want to have it a little off of the corner here, because we're going to be trimming this in later on and I don't want it to get in the way. So we're going to go ahead and get that going. I'm going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole here so I don't split the wood, but I've already got it marked where I want to put my eye hook. So I'll go ahead and get that going. I'm not going to go any farther than that.
What we're going to do now is I'm going to measure out and I'm going to cut a square out of the wall that we have put up. And I'm going to take some pallet wood and actually kind of frame it out around it. And this is going to act as the door that's going to lead out into the run. I'm going to have to make sure that I do it just above this lip down here, because I'm planning on putting in a board that the chickens can kind of run up to get back into the coop easily. Okay, so I already measured, and the actual bottom part of the floor for the run is at about 4 inches. And I know that this is 4 foot wide. So if I come across here at 4 foot, then I know that this center line here, that's actually the middle of where the door needs to be. And if I come up And we'll give it a little bit of extra just to be on the safe side. So let's call it 4 1/4. I know that that's where my floor is. So what do you think, Vanessa? You think a 1 foot door is big enough? I mean, that looks tall enough that a chicken can walk through it.
Yeah, I would think so.
And maybe we'll do 1 foot by, 1 foot.
Sure. We can always cut it bigger. We can't cut it smaller.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I went ahead and did some marks on here so that I know where the tops and the bottoms and everything are. I'm just gonna go ahead and make kind of a rough straight edge. Just so I know where things are at. I'm gonna do this up here as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just need kind of a guideline for where I'm gonna be cutting things out. All right, now we know where the door is gonna be. So I went ahead and marked some X's in the corners, and that's just a reminder to me. I'm gonna use my drill to drill holes in each corner, and then I'm gonna use a jigsaw to actually cut this out of the side of the wall here. It's easier and safer than using the circular saw. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and drill these in now so we can get the jigsaw in here. All right, everybody. You might hear the kids screaming in the background. They're playing on the slip and slide. It's like 90 degrees out today. Yeah, I'm sure you just heard them. Okay, so this is the jigsaw, and if you've never used one of these before, these are pretty useful. I would say these are one of the first tools you should buy if you have a workshop. This and a circular saw. They're not horribly expensive, and they're, like I said, super useful. So this has different blades on it, and I'm not sure if you can see that. There we go. It has different blades. This one's for wood, and you can actually swap them out and put different ones in here for like metal, wood, things of that nature. This is a pretty nice one. It actually has a laser on it, so you can actually see the laser beam here, so it can guide you and tell you where you're going. This one has an exhaust port on it, so I mean, I really like this one. But this is gonna make this pretty easy work. I should be able to get in here, and this is why I put those holes in. I can just drop the blade in, and then I can start following that line and get this cut out. You can see how easily that works. And I'm gonna go down this line, and then I'll cut the bottom out, and those planks will start falling out. All right, so now what I want to do, since we have our opening here, is I'm just gonna go ahead and frame this up. I don't want these boards coming out because they're only held in by some a couple of brad nails. So I kind of want to do something like this, where I'm gonna come out and maybe I think maybe I'll come out just the width of a board. And so I'm gonna mark this here, and we're gonna cut that. We'll do another one down here, and we're gonna go around it, and that's gonna really make this look good. And then on the back side, I'm gonna put a sliding door in that we can control so that we can let the chickens in and out when we want to. And I just wanted to show you too that you don't have to have a circular saw. Like I said, you can use the jigsaw and you can make the cut. Okay, so I've got some clamps here. Vanessa helped me out. We put a board just like this one behind it, so I've cut a couple of these out. So we're gonna go ahead and use this one here. We don't have to. This one doesn't have to have a backer because there is a little bit of a backer here. So I'll just go low. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And we'll do a couple along the line. Perfect, that's not going anywhere. So up here, we're gonna do the same thing. There we go. Do the same thing here. Don't need these anymore. And I'm just gonna add a couple down the line. Whoops. Must have hit a nail. And that's it. And I'll just take this nail out. Here we go. And then I got to do 2 more for behind it. Same deal as before. We cut the pieces to fit on the sides, and there's a backer, so there's one behind it. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple rad nails in. And that is framed out now. So we're gonna use this piece of plywood. We found this on the side of the road. Actually, it was just laying there, so we went ahead and grabbed it. And it's got cobwebs and stuff on it, but I think it's plenty thick for us that we can build a sliding door back behind here. I'm not gonna use the entire thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and measure it out, and this way we can build a slide. And we'll show you how we do that. We're gonna then tie a little fisheye hook to this, and we're gonna run some twine out to the outside of the door here. What that's gonna allow us to do is to lower and raise the door without ever actually having to get into the coop in the mornings and in the evenings. So what we're gonna be doing here on the inside is I'm actually going to use one of these pieces of the pallet to kind of buff the door out a little bit. But you see here, I'm leaving a gap. And that's because what I'm gonna eventually do is I'm actually gonna come in and I'm gonna place it's hard to see here. Let me do it on this side actually for you. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna leave a gap, all right? Then we're gonna place this one here where we kind of close the gap. See how it leaves a bit of like a chamber sitting there? This will give us something for that piece of plywood to slide up and down. Again, be careful with the pallet wood. Just check, make sure you don't have any nails in the way. We got a couple down here on this end, but nothing right here where I'm gonna be cutting. Okay, so I have a couple of these pieces, like I said, and imagine if this was turned around the opposite direction. So what I was saying earlier is I'm gonna leave like a slot like this, okay? But the wall is gonna be here, so you have a little slide that you can slide the wood through. So you'll see as I start putting this in what I'm talking about here. right, so you can see here, like, we're gonna be able to slide the piece in now, right? But if we let it sit up against this piece of pallet wood, it's just gonna hit this. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna put a piece of wood in here to kind of bump it out. And then we'll make sure that the plywood's a little taller than this, and then you don't have to worry about it catching on this, if that makes sense. It'll sit flush with it, and it'll just kind of go up and down. Okay, so we know we need 25 inches tall. All right, so I measured it so that it was clearing this upper pallet beam, and we need it 14 inches wide, or 14 and a half inches wide for these purposes. So what I'm gonna do, I like to use the factory edge of a piece of plywood. So this is where they cut it at the store. This is where they cut it at the store. It gives you a perfect square. Granted, like I said, this was on the side of the road, so who knows. But I'm gonna go over here and say 14 and a half. Okay, I like to mark my cutoff. And then we're gonna go 25 this way. So that's a long stretch. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and line this up. And a good way to make sure that you're getting a straight edge is if you use a speed square and then you place your level on it and scooch it over. Okay, I know that level is giving me a straight line now. Okay, so it's a little trick. You just butt this behind it and make sure that it's cinched down. I'm gonna do the same thing down on this side. Alright, so I'm going to lock that in. I'm going to lock in my level. And there you have it. Now what I'm going to do is cut this off, and I can use the jigsaw, or I can use the circular saw. Circular saw is going to be more accurate, so that's what I'm going to do. But you could definitely do that with a jigsaw. Also, another little trick, in case you're not sure about keeping the jigsaw straight, you can actually clamp down your level. And here, I'll show you. If you clamp down your level and you make sure that your jigsaw blade is clamped down, or you make sure your jigsaw blade's lined up with where you clamped down your level, you can follow the jigsaw all the way down, and it'll give you a straight, clean cut. A test run for access to the run. Some dad humor. And there you have it. And this thing will be able to lift up. And when we lift it up, we can actually, we can tie a knot on the outside, and we'll know how far to lift it before we stop. Or we can actually tie something off in here too. So you could actually stick like a washer or something on the thread, and that'll cause it to have a memory stop. We can lock it down, chickens in and out, and then nighttime, you know, we're good. Did I mention it's 90 degrees out? I'm starting to feel like I'm Kentucky Fried Chicken in this coop at the moment. So that's telling me we probably need to make sure we're adding a lot more ventilation here in the back, which we're planning on doing. But anyway, so just wanted to show you, I went ahead and placed the eye hook here. I've got one here on the ceiling. There's actually some good ventilation here, so good job, Vanessa. So what I want to do is I'm going to run this through. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put a washer in here, and I'm just going to let it sit for now. But we're going to be able to use that washer as a as a stop up here, as a positive stop. We can use a washer, and so I got this one here, and I will eventually, I'll tie a knot here, or maybe I'll put some like a zip tie or something to hold it where it needs to be. And then this way, when this thing gets pulled up, it'll hit that eye and it'll stop. But we're just gonna leave it loose for now until we can get our estimates squared away here. And that's fine. And we're gonna leave some slack here for now. All right, so what I wanna do now is tie a really good knot right here. Cinch that down, and then I'm just going to double up on it. Perfect. All right, so you can see we got the door up. I know now that this is kind of where I want it to stop. I don't want it to go any higher. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of Sharpie so that I know where I want my washer to go. And I'm going to tie a knot off just below this. So I want to come down just below where that's at. All right, and doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a single knot here. And we got to make sure the mark is above the knot, or right at it. And the reality is the knot would probably be fine, but I like to have a warm fuzzy feeling, and I know that this washer is not going to get slipped through. And so then I'll place that there. And we don't have to tie another knot here. You don't have to worry about that, because the washer is going to do the job. All right, go ahead and give it a tug, Vanessa. And go ahead and pull it like you're going to open it all the way up. And you can't pull it any further, right?
Nope.
So we now got to stop here, and we can make sure the board doesn't slide out. Okay, so right about here, like if I pull this down, you'll see, all right? So right about here, I'm gonna wanna have a screw, and I'm gonna wanna have a loop sitting here so that we can tie the loop in, and this will stay open. And then whenever we wanna close it, we just pull the loop down a little bit and let this go back up. All right. I want to leave a gap here just because I definitely want to make sure the door doesn't get opened by accident or left open by accident. All right, and then a little more. This twine definitely likes to get cinched in. Go. Just tighten that down. And we're gonna pull this through. And I'm actually gonna use this to really make sure it gets pulled tight. All right, so we got a good knot there.
now that Mike's got our chicken run door completed, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the ramp. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw some screws into these hinges. So we had some extra hinges that Mike found down in the basement, and we're gonna go ahead and get those screwed in and then attach them to the coop for the run door. We're gonna go ahead and screw the hinges now into the frame of the run door, and then we're gonna start cutting strips of pallet wood to make steps for the chickens as they come up and down the ramp. So we have a template here for our little steps for the chicken run ramp, and we're just gonna leave them whole like this because otherwise they may split on us, and we don't want that, and we're just gonna let them overhang a little bit on the actual ramp. But I'm just gonna line it up and make a mark and start cutting strips until we have enough. We're gonna go ahead and start nailing on our strips of pallet wood, and we're just gonna space them out so it's like every other one. So I'm gonna put this one in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put the next one, and I'm gonna nail in the third one, and then we can take that middle one out, and we're gonna do that the whole way up. And I think we're gonna stop right there so that we can make sure that this closes up the way that we want it. It looks good. We've got our ramp hooked up with the steps, and we're gonna go ahead and fold that up and just take a look and see about where that hits. So I wanna come up a little higher from the ramp, and we're gonna put just a standard eye hook there. And then on the bottom of our ramp, we have an eye hook that Mike opened up for me a little bit, and we're gonna put that in here, and we'll have rope tied to the one up here that we can tie off when we want to have the ramp tied up, if we need it out of the way or just for extra protection at night. We've got our hooks and our twine tied up here now, so we can now close up our ramp.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the roosting bar up. Now, this part I kind of cheated a little bit on. You do not have to do what I did, okay? So you could actually get some pieces of wood from the pallet wood and kind of make like a U shape on the wall, nail it in, and then you would have some like it would be bumped out, and you would have something you could slide the bars in. I cheated though. I'm a tech junkie, so I have a 3D printer in the house, and what I did was I actually 3D printed these brackets that you can actually screw onto the wall, and you can put a roosting bar on it. And the cool thing is too, it's got a gap here that you can actually run a zip tie through, so that the bar that the chickens are sitting on can actually be zip tied in and secured. And there's 2 of these, so they'll run on other sides of the building. But like I said, you really could, and I can show you. You really could mimic that though. Like I said, if you wanted to just screw this into the side where you want your bars to go, you could screw another one here. And now you got a gap here that that the bar could actually sit in. You can slide it in and out, and you would just have to cut the bar to size. I'm about to go cut the bar to size too and get it in here so we get the roost up. All right, you can see here, I kind of attached the bar holder there, the roost bar holder, and attached it on this end. And it's pretty sturdy. It's got plenty of rigidity to it. And I just went out in the woods and cut this sapling. So, you know, over time, you can just swap that out and put a new bar in. But they'll like that. It gives them something that they can grip their feet around. And it's pretty high up. But the chickens will definitely be able to get up there from the ground. And we're gonna have nesting material down here. And it's clearing our bar over here, which is important because we're going to be putting those nesting boxes in outside underneath that section there. So it works out pretty good. All right, everybody, that is a wrap for the reclaimed lumber chicken coop build. So we've gotten pretty much everything done that we wanted to get done. We have access for the chickens now to leave the coop, and we're going to let them free range to begin with. Eventually we'll build a run in over here. We've got a roosting bar up for them. We're gonna do this after we're done filming, so this will probably be next week, but we're not gonna include it as part of the build. We bought some linoleum that we wanna stick down on the bottom here to make it easier to clean out. We bought it really cheap at Lowe's. Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna line the inside, and we're actually gonna come up on the sides too so that it makes it easier to clean out. That's something you could do. You don't have to, but it would definitely make cleaning things easier. I would say what we have here right now, though, is the bare minimum that you should have if you're going to be raising chickens. You should at least have something that you can secure and close. There should be some ventilation. You should have access for them to be able to come in and out, but you should be able to close it and lock it down in the evening. And you should have some sort of roosting bar for them to sleep on. I think those are the bare minimum items you should have, unless you're just using like a chicken tractor or something along those lines out in your field. So that would be acceptable too. But I'm ecstatic. I think it turned out really nice. What do you think?
I love it. It didn't cost us a whole ton of money.
It really didn't. I would say we probably have, I don't know, $150, $200 invested in the entire project. Now, I'm being fair there because I'm counting things that we had bought in the past, right? I told you we had bought the tar paper for the roof. We did not buy the shingles. We did buy the wire cloth. We bought the hardware, the screws that we used, the 3D print for the roost bar. I think that's about it. I mean, the twine.
Yeah.
And if you want to count the roofing nails, you can certainly count the nails and the brad nails. Again, I'm probably overshooting it, but I would say,
yeah, those aren't necessarily things that we all bought that we just happen to have. But
yeah, I would say $150, $200 tops. I would also say that a coop like this, if you were to have somebody come out and build it for you, you're looking at several $1,000s.
Especially in today's economy.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I think the chickens are going to love it. We're going to constantly be improving upon it, and we may do a video in like 6 months or so, just kind of a where are we now with it, just so we can show you all. We definitely want to trim it, so we want to put some trim on the edges here. We want to trim some of these lines. We're going to paint it red, like I said. We'll do the trim white.
We still got to build the nesting boxes.
Still got to do the nesting boxes, exactly. So, but that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the series. I definitely enjoyed building it. It was fun. It was challenging. If you like our content, please click like. And as I mentioned earlier, if you like our show, please click on subscribe. We come out with new episodes every Thursday on a variety of topics. And this one is a wrap. So there's only one thing left to say, I think.
Make time for dirt time.
She's got it.